Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Infantry Pulse, and today we're going to be going through the top 5 ranged flying units. Now, right at the top of the video, I'm going to clarify, this is not mages. Mages are getting their own video coming next week, so if you're hyped for the mage top 5, that's coming next week. Please don't yell at me in the comments for not including, I don't know, Summer Violet or something. This is staves, bows, and daggers. So just staves, bows, and daggers, that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So these units are actually quite diverse in their roles a lot of the time, and I'm actually excited to make this video. There's a lot of good ranged flying units in general, so ranking them is a little bit difficult, but I am confident in what I have put on the list. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into my pick for number 5.
To promise myself to someone and to raise a family. I hope that I can have that someday.
So first up we have Bridal Fjorm, and there was a time where Bridal Fjorm could have been number 1 on this list, truly. The problem with Bridal Fjorm is that she faces competition from Milla on Dark Season, and then she also faces competition from turn 1 engage traps on Astra. So because of the prevalence of turn 1 engage traps, she kind of has fallen off in usage a little bit. That said, on teams that are not turn 1 engage traps, she's still extremely powerful. Just a very good support unit. So she inflicts isolation based on an HP check, and just because by being nature of a staff unit, she has Dazzling Staff available to her, which means if she does need to snipe a unit down, she is capable of doing that. She has a good attack stat. Like you see here, she has 64 attack with this build, and she has 44 speed. So she can actually be relatively competent in terms of being a combat unit if you need to chip someone down even, or if you need to take a unit out that maybe your main carry can't deal with. Maybe your main carry is physical, and you need to take out a unit that's a big physical threat. That's what Fjorm is here for. So definitely a very strong unit. Something also to note is that in Astra season specifically, there are the armor balls, the double save balls, the corner traps, where you have a unit without a weapon and a rally and all this stuff. One of the ways to beat those traps is to use isolation and then put threat down on the rally unit so they start moving and mispositioning themselves. Then you could eventually make it so that they will player phase your units. So Fjorm is actually, although she's fallen off a lot in terms of usage because of turn 1 traps, there is this super specific niche of beating those armor ball units, armor ball teams a little bit more easily. You can do it without her, but it's a lot easier if you have a Bridal Fjorm on your team for sure. Just a great support unit for sure, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about her. Great support unit, offense ready if you need her to be. Definitely a good unit.
There are so many people here from all walks of life working together. It's pretty much my ideal spot.
Next up is Brave Claude. So Brave Claude's weapon, the unique thing about it, the super cool thing about it, is that when his special triggers, he restores 50% of his maximum HP, which is really good. Being a slaying weapon, it's also really great for that, and when he's within 2 spaces of an ally, well, he needs 2 spaces of an ally to trigger all of these effects, but he also gets +5 everything. He gets Spectrum +5. So he's just a very strong unit. I've shown a light season build here. He can also work in Astra very, very well. I would switch close foil to close counter in Astra just to make sure that you can counterattack against things like Duma and Saros, but definitely a very, very powerful unit. A good stat stick. The main problem with Brave Claude is the problem you have with all ranged flyers, and that is there's not really a B slot that feels super good to them. So I've chosen Quick Riposte here because it breaks through impact skills when he's at a good amount of HP, and that kind of stuff. What he really wants is some kind of null follow-up effect, but that doesn't exist for ranged flyers right now. A little sad, but that's fine. You could also run something like Guard or Vantage. Those are 2 good B slots for him as well. But none of those feel super, super great with his kit. None of them feel like the most synergistic in the world, which is why he's, you know, a little bit lower on this list. But again, like a super competent tank and someone that can hard carry you against most every single team. And so if he's coming in at number 4, you know the next couple units are going to be really great as well. But definitely a super, super good carry in Aether Raid's offense. He also doesn't have a super good niche in Arena right now, which is also why he's a little bit lower on this list. and he is okay, but not great on Aether Raid's defense. But definitely, in terms of Aether Raid's offense, a very, very solid tank that's worthy of being invested into, especially with how often the Brave heroes get rerun.
Do you know much about the ocean? I simply adore gazing upon the deep blue water.
Next up is Playing Innocent, Lady Flane here. So, Flane is just a really strong support unit. She gives damage reduction to all allies within 2 spaces just by existing. So units that typically don't have damage reduction, especially armors, looking at you, Bector, really appreciate Flane support. So she's just a really good unit. You can also run Rescue on her default, or Return. I prefer Physic because it keeps her out of range of your allies, while still being able to heal pretty effectively. So here I've chosen for a offensive A slot because I think it's the right way to go, just in case, like I said, with Fjorm, they're very comparable. They're support staff flying units. You want to be able to poke down a unit if you really need to, and with Dazzling Staff, that's pretty easy. So speed stacking her, even though her speed stat is not really great, is actually maybe a pretty good idea. Double Distant Guard is also a really good idea. If you're running a flying unit, you could also run Ward Flyers in the C slot. Definitely a lot of options for those C slot skills. You can also just run your good old drives, you know, like a Joint Drive Res, or you know, a Drive Attack, or whatever your unit specifically might need. That's all flexible based on what you're trying to build. Also, I think Miracle is a good skill for her in case you need to get, if you're at the end of, you know, the AR match and you need to bait someone out or something, so she can survive a hit. That is, you know, that's just my preference. You can run an Imbue skill, you can run an Imbue, you can run a Balm skill. All of those are very good options for sure, but I personally prefer Miracle. At the end of the day, Flane is just a really great support unit that gives AoE damage reduction. That's a very unique niche, and one that makes her a super, super good unit.
I think the world would be better off without borders, but that's just me.
Coming in at number 2, we have Legendary Claude. And Legendary Claude is just a big heckin' threat. He is very, very scary to play into in a lot of ways, especially in Arena, which is great because he's a legendary hero. That's where he belongs. But he's also super scary on Aether Raid's offense. I've shown an Arena build here because I think that's where he's best. That said, he's very good on Aether Raid's offense also, so, you know. This is just a threatening build, really, so you can run Deadeye here. You can also run Aether, you could run Ruptured Sky, whatever suits you. I think Deadeye is great, so I chose Deadeye. But really what the highlight of this character is Fallen Star. So Fallen Star inflicts gravity. It inflicts a status on himself that reduces all incoming damage until his next action by 80%. 80%! That's almost the whole thing. It's nuts. So he just becomes just a very, very tanky boy without a lot of effort. So he can hard carry you in Arena for sure, and then really just be, I mean, even in AR offense, he's super, super great. His biggest threat in Arena is a Deadeye Legendary Alm, but even then, Alm has to get that pre-charged, or not pre-charged, he has to get that charged up, and then attack into Claude most of the time. He's just a very good unit, just like a super, super intimidating unit that's very, very powerful. And were it not for who is number 1 on this list, would be by and large number 1. He's so, so, so strong. And you can make an argument for him being number 1 on this list, but you'll see. But yeah, definitely just a super impactful unit. When he was released, definitely shifted the meta in his favor. So yeah, Legendary Claude. Worth the investment to get just a crazy good unit. Okay, now we're going to run through some honorable mentions. So our first honorable mention is going to be Air. And so here I've shown an Air Force build. I personally run Tamari Air, and I think that's also a super, super great build. But I think that people that run Air Force are the superior beings in a lot of ways. I have so much respect for Gale Force players. They're so great. I just think you're so cool if you run Gale Force. I'm terrible at it. I don't like doing it, so I don't do it. But if you do run Gale Force, kudos to you. Gold star. But anyway, so Air Force is a strategy that involves air initiating twice, doing 2 attacks, breaking traps with disarm trap. After Lithyaberg and 2 taps from Fury, she ends up at below half health, which means she's now a Wings of Mercy anchor for your other Gale Force units to come in and clean up the team. It's a very cool strategy, a very good strategy, especially because Lyn is a mythic, not Lyn, Air is a mythic unit. I was thinking Lyn Force, that's later. But Air is a mythic unit, so she is enabling your score and not taking up a team slot that is not boosting your score. So triple mythic is always the way to go in terms of maximum scoring. So having a mythic unit that's also part of a core strategy is very, very good. Next up, we have Bo Hinoka. So Bo Hinoka is a really great unit that has an AoE debuff on her skills, as well as being a very competent flying unit or offense unit with dual effectiveness. She has effectiveness against both armor and flying. So her Refine is really, really great, makes her a super, super strong support unit. I've chosen to run Deadeye here. You can also run something more low cooldown like Moonbow. I prefer usually to run low cooldown specials in my support units, but I think Deadeye is just such a great skill that I think it's worth running. She does have that same problem as Braveclaw of like, what should her B slot be? Who knows? You could run a Sabotage skill, you could run Vantage, you could run Quick Repose. I've chosen Flyer formation here because I think her best role is supporting a flying unit because she could run Ward Flyers in the C slot. So supporting something like a Braveclaw is really her niche for sure, and definitely an overlooked and underestimated unit in a lot of ways. And finally, in our honorable mentions, we have New Year's Plumeria. Now, New Year's Plumeria is a very, very versatile unit that definitely is fighting Bridal Fjorm for that spot on the top 5. She is a super, super strong unit because she still gets Plumeria's preferred dance. So she gets a buff on her allied units, she debuffs units within her range, so that preferred dance is just very, very, very good. She can also, her preferred weapon is also super great. I've also seen a lot of good Brave Bow builds on her for Aether Raid's defense. She's just a unit that can do a lot of things. She has super high attack and res. I mean, she just has a lot of things going for her, truthfully. A really good unit. I've chosen to feature a Fortune Bow build to support something like a Plagian Torch, a Plagian Bow, a Grima's Truth, all these units that really want debuffs on the opponents. Fortune Bow is a really good skill for that, and on the bright side, it's now available in Divine Codes for 400, yeah, 400 codes. Really cheap pickup there if you want to get a Fortune Bow. So this is just a really good support unit. It's definitely one that when she is rerun, I'm definitely going to pick up a copy or two of New Year's Plumeria myself, just because I think I maybe underestimated her the first time around when I was pulling on the New Year's banner, and now I realize the value of this Fortune Bow build specifically, but also of a Brave Bow build on defense, or just her default bow. Like, she has a lot of options going for her, and that's what I think makes her a really, really strong unit.
For warriors who are supposed to be quiet, the design of these outfits seems kinda loud.
And finally, our number 1 on this list, my least favorite unit in the entire game, Ninja Lyn. Ninja Lyn is my mortal enemy, and I absolutely despise her. Now, you're probably looking at this build and going, huh? Well, here's the thing, is that I didn't want to just showcase, the typical, slaying dagger with, brave effect. I mean, that weapon is so good. Obviously, it's so good. But here's the thing, is that Pumpkin a Box plus Fury 4 means that you can use your max invest Lyn, your plus 10 Lyn, as Lyn Force. Pretty easily, honestly. So after 2 attacks, after Pumpkin a Box and Fury 4, she gets below half health exactly. So do not put Dragon Flowers on her if you want to do this build. She takes 14 damage per tap from Pumpkin a Box and Fury 4, total of 28 damage after 2 taps. That is exactly half. So that makes her your Wings of Mercy anchor, makes her a really good unit. She has lots of different builds she can run. I think her best place is on AR offense. She can also enable hindrance on AR defense though. But definitely a Windsweep build is also super good. Running things like Guidance in the C slot is also super good tech for setting up someone like a Fallen Edelgard. Disarming a trap and then running in with Fallen Edelgard is definitely a super viable strategy. She is a very strong unit in Arena also because she's a duo unit, and so she scores incredibly well. She just has everything going for her in every single mode. She's one of the best, if not the best unit in the game, and I literally hate her. I think she is the worst. I think she was a mistake to add into the game. That said, she's a very, very strong unit and deserves respect and demands counterplay. She is absolutely centralizing to the meta in multiple game modes and is just a super, super intimidating unit. And that is the video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. There's also a link in the Discord below. Not in the Discord, a link to the Discord below. So make sure to hit up the Discord. There's lots of cool people there hanging out, helping out each other with Aether Raid strategies, with unit builds, with all kinds of stuff. It's also where I stream all of my Aether Raids offense content. So if you're a person that really likes watching channels like Levinseti, watching channels like Promise Me One Thing that really do the Aether Raids offense thing, I do that too. I just don't do it on YouTube as much. So if you're hungry for Aether Raids offense content, make sure to hit up the Discord. I stream my Aether Raids offense there every single day. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure to come back next week for another Flyer Unit Top 5 video. Also, we're going to have a special announcement video coming tomorrow, kind of a channel update. So just a quick video tomorrow, so make sure to tune in and watch that for a bit of a surprise. So new and exciting things on the horizon. So until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!